Hi. Vectors are very significant in game development, so today we will focus a little on this topic. Essentially, a vector indicates the coordinates of points in a space. There is vector 2, which is used in 2D games. And there is vector 3, which is used in 3D games. The difference between vector 2 and vector 3 is that vector 2 has two components, x and y. And vector 3 has three components, x, y, and z. With vector, you specify the direction and the distance of a point. To understand this more easily, you have to think of a vector as an arrow sign. An arrow sign shows the direction and the distance. This is exactly what a vector does. Here is an illustration. What does the arrow tell us? The arrow shows to the direction east, and the distance is 50 kilometers. So, in other words, the arrow is a vector. In terms of our GD script language, the sign would look something like this. And here is an example from a code. The first value is always the x direction, and the second value is always the y direction. In Godot, the coordinates x0 and y0 are always in the upper left corner, here. In this code line, we tell Godot to place an object in x, 30 pixels, and y 45 pixel. And here we have x 30 pixel and y 45 pixel. So, this arrow is our vector. The game object would move from the current point, which is in my case x0, y0, here, to the new coordinate along this arrow, here. That was generally the most important thing you should know about vector. Basically, the video could end here, but I want to show you what vector constants are used for. Maybe you noticed that some scripts have something like vector 0 or vector up, etc. If you press the Control key and then click here on vector, it will bring you to this documentation. Here you can see what you can do with vector. And here you can see all the constants that are available. Here you can find the 0 vector, or the up vector, and so on. So, what exactly is a vector 0? There is simply a 0 set for the x direction and a 0 set for the y direction. You can also program vector 0 like this. It is basically the same. The difference is, if you use the constant 0, that you have a better code readability. And constants also make for a slightly better performance, just like you generally use constants in your code, like variables. And this is what vector up would look like if the constant up was not utilized. And vector has also methods that involve math, here, with which you can do advanced stuff. As you progress in Godot, you will automatically learn more and more methods, depending on the projects you are working on. You will gradually learn new methods. But, basically, you now know the main concept of vector, which is perfectly enough to begin with. That's it for today. See you next time. Goodbye.